Jimmy Carter was a man who defied expectations at every turn. Born and raised in the rural town of Plains, Georgia, he grew up in a world that was both insular and deeply rooted in tradition. But even from a young age, Carter knew that he wanted to make a difference in the world. After graduating from the United States Naval Academy in 1946, Carter served in the Navy for several years before returning to Georgia to enter politics. He was elected to the Georgia State Senate in 1962 and served as governor of Georgia from 1971 to 1975. As governor, Carter focused on education, environmental protection, and civil rights, earning him a reputation as a progressive leader. He also took on the Ku Klux Klan, pushing through legislation that made it easier for victims of hate crimes to sue their attackers. Carter's time as governor was marked by a number of significant achievements, including the creation of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, which was responsible for protecting the state's natural resources and promoting conservation. But perhaps Carter's greatest accomplishment as governor was his work on race relations. He famously declared that Georgia was no longer a white man's country and worked to promote integration and equal rights for all Georgians. Carter's work as governor laid the foundation for his eventual run for the presidency. In 1976, he announced his candidacy, running on a platform of honesty, integrity, and putting the needs of the American people first. Carter's presidential campaign was a hard-fought one, but his tireless efforts and unyielding commitment to his principles paid off. He was elected to office in 1977, becoming the 39th President of the United States. During his presidency, Carter faced a number of significant challenges, including high inflation, an energy crisis, and the Iranian hostage crisis. But through it all, he remained focused on his goals of promoting human rights and international peace. One of Carter's most notable achievements as president was the Camp David Accords, a peace agreement between Israel and Egypt that he brokered in 1978. The agreement was a major milestone in the Middle East peace process and earned Carter the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Despite his many accomplishments, Carter's presidency was not without its controversies. His efforts to address the energy crisis through conservation and alternative energy sources were met with resistance, and his handling of the Iranian hostage crisis was criticized by some. But Carter remained a dedicated public servant long after leaving office, establishing the Carter Center, a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting democracy, human rights, and conflict resolution around the world. In addition to his work as a politician and humanitarian, Carter was also a prolific author. He wrote numerous books on a wide range of topics, including human rights, politics, and faith. One of his most famous books, An Hour Before Daylight, was a memoir of his childhood in rural Georgia. In the book, he recounted the lessons he learned from his parents and the impact that growing up in a small town had on his worldview. Another notable book by Carter was Palestine, Peace Not Apartheid, which explored the complex issues surrounding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The book was controversial, with some critics accusing Carter of being biased against Israel. Despite the criticism, Carter remained committed to using his platform to bring attention to important issues and promote peace and justice around the world. Throughout his life, Carter remained a dedicated public servant, an advocate for the underprivileged, and a champion for peace and human rights. His legacy is one of service, dedication, and compassion, and his impact on the world will be felt for generations to come. We must adjust to changing times and still hold to unchanging principles. This quote reflects Carter's belief that while the world may change rapidly, certain core values, such as human rights and justice, should remain steadfast. It speaks to his commitment to adapting to new situations while maintaining a consistent moral compass. We become not a melting pot but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams. Carter was a strong advocate for diversity and inclusion, And this quote illustrates his belief in the value of different perspectives and backgrounds. He saw the United States as a place where people from all walks of life could come together and contribute to a shared society. Human rights is the soul of our foreign policy, because human rights is the very soul of our sense of nationhood. Carter's emphasis on human rights in foreign policy was a hallmark of his presidency. This quote highlights his belief that a commitment to human rights is not just a moral imperative, but a reflection of a nation's values and identity. The best way to enhance freedom in other lands is to demonstrate here that our democratic system is worthy of emulation. Carter believed that the United States had a responsibility to serve as an example to other countries, particularly in terms of democracy and human rights. This quote suggests that he saw the United States' own success as essential to promoting these values globally. I have one life and one chance to make it count for something. My faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I am, whenever I can, for as long as I can with whatever I have to try to make a difference. This quote speaks to Carter's deeply held religious convictions and his belief in the importance of making a positive impact on the world. It reflects his lifelong commitment to public service and his belief that every individual has a role to play in making the world a better place. We appreciate your support in watching our videos. If you enjoy learning about political, business, writer and science leaders' biographies and quotes, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving us a thumbs up to help us grow and continue bringing you valuable content.